How's it going? I'm here with Chad Fouts, head float guide and shop manager of the Smoky Mountain Angler in Gatlinburg, Tennessee.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, dude, it's been a pleasure. It's been an awesome drive. Honestly, as we were kind of talking about before, I was not expecting driving up through Pigeon to see all kind of the crazy stuff. around
T-shirt
this
shop
area.
central. Yeah.
Right, right. And, it's been a long time. We've been working together for a while now, and it's been a real pleasure. And great to finally meet you. So, I guess we'll just start kind of from the beginning.
Okay.
How long have you been working for the Smoky Mountain Angler? Obviously, it's winter time right now, kind of slow season, but...
Yes, sir. Let's see here. I've been working with Smoky Mountain Angler about 10 years now. Yeah, long time.
Nice.
It flew by too.
And I imagine you've been fly fishing a little bit longer than that.
Only a couple years longer than that, actually.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I came here after I got out of the Coast Guard. The first fly rod I actually ever bought was from Smoky Mountain Angler, which is actually pretty cool. But after I got out of the Coast Guard, I called Harold and was like, "Hey, you got a job opening?" And he's like, "Actually, we do." And I've been here ever since.
And how did you know Harold?
I used to work for the Great Smoky Mountain National Park fishery staff. It was a seasonal position. I think I was there for about 7 months, and I would work here. I worked here before technically. I'd work here 1 or 2 days a week because I believe we work Monday through Thursday with the park, if I remember correctly. Yep.
Awesome. And that's what you were doing before the Coast Guard.
Before the Coast Guard.
So did you grow up actually here in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, or?
Nope. My dad was in the Navy for over 20 years. I don't know the exact amount of time, but we lived several places.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit working up in the Great Smoky Mountains. Obviously, you mentioned it's the most visited national park in the entire United States.
It is. From my recollection, it's the most visited national park in the world.
Wow.
Yep.
And you said 15 million?
I believe last year was 15 million visitors.
Wow. Mm-hmm. That blows my mind.
We get a lot of traffic.
Well, that's good for the fly fishing business, I assume.
It is.
Well, going back to kind of when you first started, I guess, fly fishing yourself, it was about 2 years before you worked for the shop.
Mm-hmm.
Did you immediately first come on as a guide, or were you working around kind of in the shop here, talking to people? How'd that look?
It was just working the shop. I had a lot to learn. I did not start guiding right away. I think it was a couple years. I think for me, it took a couple years before I physically became comfortable taking people. Yeah. Just like when I started doing float trips, I had a raft and I started fishing, and I fished it I wanted to learn that water. I fished it for a good year and a half before I even took my first float trip. Because I just, somebody's paying me to take them fishing. I better know the water and know what I'm doing. So, I wanted to learn the water, so I, would go fish by myself, or I'd, get buddies to come with me on days off when we go explore water. But so now I don't do many wade trips, very few. I'm mostly on the float trip side of it, so smallmouth and larger tailwater trout. But it's all a lot of fun. Awesome. I still personally like to go in the park and catch fish.
Right, I'm sure it's beautiful. We haven't got to check it out quite yet, but we're really hoping to. So I guess tell us a little bit about the water around here. Obviously, you have the Great Smoky Mountains. I'm sure there's a bunch of high alpine streams up there.
There is. There are over 800 miles of wild trout stream inside the national park. We got wild browns, rainbows, and brookies. Every once in a while, there has been a couple on record. Somebody catches a wild tiger, small. Wow. Mostly, I think both occurrences happened actually right on the other side of the mountain, on the kind of lofty. So it's pretty cool. But man, if you want larger streams and you want to Euro nymph or throw some small streamers or run indicator rigs, you've got rivers like the West Prong of the Little Pigeon, where we like to call the stock water right there town. Yeah. You got bigger water like that, and then the upper section, you got a lot of wild trout in there too. Wild rainbows. The higher you get up around chimneys, you get into brookies. Little River is another really great one. We like it because it's got browns and rainbows. Technically, on this side of the mountain, that's the only river that has brown trout. On this side, North Carolina's got a lot of brown trout water. But you also have the tiny blue line streams. If you want to go fish tiny little streams for brookies, we've got it. We've got it. Mm-hmm.
So I assume that it's all walk and wade up in the park?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
No. I know people like to kayak the lower end, but I have never heard anybody float fishing
Right.
the lower end.
Okay.
Yep.
And up there, is it mostly nymphing? Are you guys chasing hatches with dry flies? What kind of life you got up there?
It depends on the time of year for sure.
Okay.
It depends on the time of year for sure. Most of the year, we're running dry dropper rigs. It's just, I mean, when you get bugs hatching most of the year, and these fish, there are a few hatches a year where these fish go crazy for the specific bug that is hatching. But most of the time, these fish are very opportunistic feeders. So, an example, I've seen big brown trout caught on hopper patterns in the middle of wintertime.
Yeah.
It's if you get a really good drift, it really doesn't matter what bug you're throwing, what time of year. You can get specific. You will catch more fish if you get a little bit more specific. But you can throw a yellow Sally most of the year, and if you're getting good drifts, you're going to catch. Even if you don't see a yellow Sally for weeks, you're going to catch fish on it. These fish, we've got too many fish per mile in these rivers. Basically, that's why they stay so small too. So that's why a lot of our fish are, brookies are 4 to 6 inches, and a lot of our wild trout are anywhere from like 6 to 12 inches. And 12, I'm giving them an inch there. They just don't get very big because there's so much competition. So these fish, they can't pass up free meals. So if you're getting good drifts and you're presenting it right, you're going to catch fish in the national park, which is why we like to, a lot of guys come here, they want to they want to throw little short rods, little 7 foot, 6.5 foot. There's a place for that. If you want to go after brookies up high in the really tiny streams, it's perfect. But it hurts you if you try to fish our lower water on Little River and things like that. I'm not saying you can't catch fish, but that's why we like to run a lot of 10-foot rods, because we do a lot of mountain high sticking or high sticking, or as they call it now, Euro, or got tons of names for it, but we call it mountain high sticking because they've been doing it here forever. Whether you're indicator fishing, whether you're just tight line nymphing, or running dry dropper, we high stick all of it because it gets you the best drift possible and it puts you on more fish.
Sweet. Yeah. We have been seeing, as most people call it, like you said, Euro nymphing get a little bit more popular over the year, but I like mountain high sticking, and I have to start using that.
It is. It's a lot of fun, man. And it just, I don't know, it simplifies something that everybody's trying to make difficult. And, when you get out there in the mountains, everybody's, comes here, oh, hey, I've seen a river run through it. I want to take a bunch of line out. They're going to cast. They're going to catch a bunch of fish. Nope, we just tell most people, even people that have had tons of experience before and try to do that pull line out, and they're going to start casting. We're just like, man, watch this. We reel all their line up. We put them through a few holes, and we show them exactly how to fish, and it clicks. So that's why we tell people when they do a guided trip with us, they don't need to ever book a trip. We would love them to, but now they know how to do it, and they can come back here and do it. Just listen to what the guide said, and you will catch fish here every time you visit. So that's why we love guiding so much. Honestly, all of our guides can probably say the same thing. We'd actually rather teach a new person, somebody who's never had experience doing it before. They tend to pick it up a little bit quicker. Don't have any bad habits. Sorry, guys, but they do. We love teaching new people because it clicks in their head a lot faster than guys usually with a ton of experience that are from out west, or used to big open tail waters and things like that. But for us, it's just, this place is just one of the few places left in the southeast. There's still a few, but one of the few places left to catch truly wild trout in the southeast, and we love it. We wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, we always talk to guides and outfitters about how important the educational side of things are, and being able to not only put your client on fish, but have your client come back, without a guide and be able to catch fish.
Yep.
But as you kind of mentioned along with that, it's really important to have a client who's willing to learn.
Yes.
And open to being told, hey, maybe we should do this way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly kind of what you've seen over the past years of guiding, I assume.
I have.
So I guess let's talk about a little bit of the difference in float guiding versus walking wade guiding. Did you start, when you first started being a guide, were you floated?
Nope.
Float guide, or were you walking wade and then transitioned into float?
I was just walking wade. I just did walking wades like everybody else. We had a guide at the time that did it. Super awesome guy. His name was Brad Atwell. I believe he did move out west with his family. Um, but we had a float guide that did it. And, just like I went a couple times with him, I was like, man, this is really cool. And I started, just doing wade trips, got really comfortable with that, doing that, catching fish with clients, and for me, the park is a wonderfully beautiful place. But as far as guiding up there goes, um, it can, for me at least, having so much water around me and fishing the same place for myself for years, it kind of got to where I was like, I want to try something else. So I bought a boat. I started learning. And as soon as I felt comfortable, I took a guy out. First guy trip ever. We had a it ended up being crappy conditions on the clinch. We got there. It was only supposed to be running one generator. We got there. An hour into it, they turned on two. It was awful, but we still ended up landing several fish, and nice fish. Yeah. And I was from that moment on, I was sold. But like I said, the national park, it's a place that I hold dear to me, and I'll go for brookies, and I'll go fish brown trout when my favorite time is obviously nasty. Like today would be perfect. Cold, cloudy, crappy conditions. That's when you find the nice fish in the park, and I'll do that. But definitely, as far as guide wise for me, I like the floats now. But the main difference between the two, man, is really it's the walking in the boat. That's really it. I mean, I'm doing the same thing. I'm getting people on fish, telling what people to throw, rigging them, showing them. As far as the difference, really, it's just going to be the boat and the walking aspect, and obviously the size fish. On floats, you're catching bigger fish. You're not catching as many, but you're catching bigger fish. Right. And in the national park, you can catch quite a few fish on one of our guided trips with our guides. You can have slow days too. It happens, but you can catch quite a few fish. But you're talking about the 6 to 12 inch fish, which are absolutely some of the prettiest trout you'll catch. But some people, when they come on vacation, they want to catch big fish. Right. So it gives them an option. So that's why we did it. And I started off after Brad left. I took over for the float aspect, and now we have 3 other float guides.
Do you find your clients often asking, hey, we want, numbers over size over numbers, or are they, I just want a great day out fishing, and it's kind of up to the guide?
Honestly, a lot of our guided trips are people who come into town and didn't even realize there was fishing here. So they come in, they see, oh, hey, let's try to go fishing. They start looking up online. They're like, this place looks great. Got a lot of good reviews. Let's check it out. They call us, check out our website a little bit. And, we tell them, I was like, well, what do you want to do? And a lot of them are just like, oh, we've never done it before. We want to go try it. And a lot of those times we'll send those guys on the wade trips, because it's much simpler. Getting somebody in 4 hours to go walk and wade in mountains and catch fish is it's easier to teach in the high sticking than it is spending 4 hours on a half day float trip teaching them, to cast 30, 40 feet from the boat fishing. You know what I mean? So most people just want to try it for a first time. And we get a lot of repeats. So we get people that come here, do it for the first time, and then, they end up getting addicted to it so much they end up somewhere else the next vacation to do the same thing. But I definitely think we are a great starting point for the addiction. We take a lot of beginners that have never done it before. So for me, I like knowing that for sure. That people come here to Gatlinburg and they never done something before. They figure out they want to try it. They do, and we are the cause of a lot of fly fishing addictions.
Well, that's awesome. Yep. We'll have to grow the industry, to say the least. And I'm sure the scenic views up in the national park here,
you can't beat it, man. I mean, it's hard to see them right now. It's obviously for the reason they're called the Smoky Mountains.
Smoky up those mountains.
You can barely tell they're even there. Usually when the clouds are gone, you can see the whole peak up there.
Really?
Yep.
From here in the shop?
Right out on the porch.
Right outside here. So this is the oldest fly shop in the area, is that right? Or?
That is correct. As of now. There were some older ones, but they are not open anymore.
Okay. What year was this fly shop open?
This was 1987, 1988.
Okay. And is the owner today the same owner that originally started?
So
or
the
did that pass
owner,
down?
the owner right now, his name is Harold Thompson. Fantastic gentleman. I wouldn't be here without him. A lot of us wouldn't be here without him. But no, he ended up buying it 21 years ago.
Okay.
He bought it 21 years ago when he retired, and he's owned it since.
Awesome. And you guys have always been allowed to guide up in the Great Smoky Mountains.
Mm-hmm. As long as the shop's been here, they've been guiding up in the Smokies.
Nice.
Yep.
Are there any in particular guides that have been here kind of around that same timeline since Harold first started this shop and really know the waters, obviously, just through your
Yes.
experience like that?
Yes. Our head guide, one of our head guides, Chad Williams, okay, has been with Harold the entire extent of that.
Wow.
But I believe he guided a couple years before that with somebody. And man, I tell you what, he's a very, very nice gentleman, very humble though. He's one of those, if you ever went fishing with him, good luck. You're never gonna beat him on the water. He grew up here.
Okay.
And in fact, I believe he told me he actually started tying flies first before even fly fishing.
Wow.
For older gentlemen in his community that were, they fly fish and they wanted him to tie flies because I guess he got good at it, and he's still really amazing at it. And he has done. He's an incredible guy, man. I just don't know. I don't really have words for how good he is, man. He taught me a lot of what I know. So I will always appreciate him for that. And heck, man, he's been doing it for 21 years.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And still doing it.
Still doing it full time. It is honestly, I would have no issue with that. If I'm here another 11 years, I'll have no issue with that.
Yeah.
But honestly, man, it's hard. All our guide staff right now is just. It took me 10 years to have what we do right now.
Right.
10 years of trial and error. 10 years of good times and incidences. And we ended up finding a really good crew right now. CJ is another great guide. He's our second head weight guide, and he runs a bunch of trips, man. He's one of the hardest working guides that we have. He does. Everybody just loves him, and it's funny. You meet him, okay? You meet him a little bit. He's kind of a little bit scary. Yeah. Not like in a bad way. It's just you'd think he'd be real stern. Yeah. But man, his clients love going out with him. His person when he's on the water teaching people, his personality just changes. And then we got let's see, another notable one is Jesse Huddleston. Prodigy, as we call him. He is one of the best tiers that I know. Hands down, can tie the prettiest flies I've ever seen. And we showed him when he started here. He's actually a local too. He grew up here. I've been here 10 years. I believe he's 22 now. So I've known him since he was 11 years old. Since he was 12 years old. He used to come in here. He was coming to the shop when he was 12 years old, man. It makes me feel so old. But he used to come in, ride his bike in. He'd buy little lures and stuff because he grew up spin fishing. And then I remember ended up taking him fly fishing for the first time. And that's after, like, I asked him, I was like, when he started getting older and was visiting, I was like, hey, you want to work here?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, man, that'd be cool. So I ended up taking him for his first time fly fishing. Man, if he didn't pick that up in 2 hours, I was jealous and mad and like excited all at the same time. But he did. He picked it up very fast, and he is excellent with clients. But he is very notable, even on his socials and Instagram. And I'm pretty sure I think he's pro staff for Norway's. I'm talking like incredible flies. Yep.
Wow, that's really cool. And you mentioned socials, so let's kind of go into how the industry has kind of evolved over the past few years. Obviously, you do a lot of great marketing for the shop here.
I try to.
How has that kind of influenced, I guess, the business Do you ever get clients coming in saying, I found you through social media, through the internet, anything like that?
Yeah. So just since I've been here, all right, in those almost 10 years that I've been here, we had a Facebook page. That was it. That was it. And Instagram had been, Instagram was still at the point where it was popular, but not quite to the point it was, a couple years ago.
Right.
Super popular a couple years ago. And, people still use it every day, but there are new ones, like TikTok, and things like that are popping up that, companies are finally jumping in and doing stuff on. But yeah, man, I mean, Instagram, Facebook, and the TikTok pages and stuff like that, they do help a lot more than people think. And I know sometimes it's, some people probably have seen our page and it's a little ridiculous, but it brings people in, man. Like 3 days ago, a family came in. Hey, my son found you guys on TikTok. We just want to stop in and say hey. And they bought like 2 shirts and a hat.
There you go.
I mean, it's just the little things. Making 15-second little dumb videos.
Yeah.
Had people coming to Gatlinburg and visiting, stopping by and bought 2 hats and a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Or 2 t-shirts and a hat, sorry. And but that happened like during busy season. That was, at first, it was kind of like, I was kind of like, oh no, a little embarrassed about it.
Yeah.
But then it just kept happening, and it just was like, you know what, this is, Instagram and TikTok. You definitely need to push your business on social media. It's just a lot of people hate the fact that that's the way the world is now, but that is the way the world is now. And
especially in this industry, we find a lot of the
it is
older generation to sometimes get upset with that, but it's just the way that kind of the world's evolving, and we're trying to help it.
Yep. Especially with, I will say, the older generation in the fly industry, they don't necessarily need to have it.
No.
Like, I know tons of older guides that have their client list all year. You know what I mean? Guys like that, they don't need to do any of that stuff. You know what I mean? They've worked their butt off, pre-social media time to have that book of clients. But nowadays, it's nobody really wants to go with you unless they can find you on the internet.
Right.
If you don't exist on the internet, no one's going to want to try. Especially as like as a new person, or even if you're a new guide coming to the industry, you know what I mean? It's just it's very hard to get that old school business nowadays.
Right. Especially for the younger guys, like as you mentioned, 22-year-old guide.
Yeah.
He's most likely going to draw a younger client base, I would assume.
Well, not with the tying though. That's where it is. So he does in the aspect of the fishing and the guiding, but he actually draws in every age group in fly fishing. That's what's cool about fly tying.
Yeah.
Like fly fishing, there's definitely the age gaps and the differences. But when fly tying in the fly fishing industry, it's everybody. You know what I mean? It's it's not like this guy, this guy, and this guy, this guy, and this guy. If they were gonna tie a classic pheasant tail, they're all the same. It's all the same fly. You know what I mean? So it's when you're fly fishing, there's all these old techniques, new techniques, all this stuff. This guy likes this, that guy likes that. But when you're fly tying, there are new techniques and stuff, but the flies end up, being the same thing at the end of it. So a good looking bug, imitation of a bug or a bait fish, or an amphibian that fish is going to eat. So that's where fly tying is cool. If you promote fly tying, you're targeting every single age group, not just one. Which is why, we, for fly fishing aspect, we still have all the social media accounts, all the older ones, Facebook, and now, Instagram is declining because of TikTok. But we are able to do that with all age groups as far as fly fishing goes. And then that's where also your Google ads and stuff come in, and you can actually target age groups and things like that on there. And but it works, man. But the best advertisement you can have for here is those mountains. I mean, even if we didn't advertise, people are going to be coming to visit here.
Right.
We're just trying to draw more, man. We want the industry to grow. We want there to be more fly fishermen because it benefits all of us. Every single one of us in the industry, it benefits having more people in there. Now I know the last couple of years it hasn't because production lines and stuff and products taking longer, but in the long run, down the road, it is going to help. River cleanups, conservation, all of it. It is going to help to have more people on board with us. So try to take as many new people as you can.
100%.
Yep.
I love that you bring up conservation because it's something that we try to preach. What kind of conservation groups / do you guys have any sort of river cleanups, anything like that people in the area could participate in?
All right, so right now, the Trout Unlimited chapters, they all have their own different one. So if you are in this area, you can actually contact us and we can tell you which chapter is closest to you guys. And they do stuff like that all year long. We just had an event with the Great Smoky Mountain chapter. Now this one was to actually send youth to a fly fishing summer camp that they have in the park. We raised money to send those kids to the fly fishing camp during the summer. But they do river cleanups also. We get notified of any Great Smoky Mountain National Park fisheries, where they need volunteers to help on surveys, whether it's backpack shocking surveys or just water quality surveys. They need that help all the time. And I believe we actually were talking about a gentleman, Flying Soho. He does a big river cleanup. There's tons of river cleanups around here, and it's not that hard to find one if you guys want to help out.
Awesome. Yeah, it's very important, especially for us who work in the industry, to keep our protected resources protected, essentially.
Yes, 100%.
And make sure that they're here for the next generation.
Next two generations.
Yeah. And hopefully more after that.
Yep.
That's right.
You guys do something with conservation too,
right.
with our
exactly. So we have been partnering with organizations all over the U.S. essentially. Okay. And then we are going to give our outfitters essentially a choice of the list of organizations that we partnered with, and then take $1 out of our proceeds for every single trip that's booked and donate it to that outfitter's conservation of choice.
That's
essentially. Awesome. We'd always preached since the beginning of starting Go Guide that we want to make a better, positive impact on the industry, and this is kind of us putting the foot in the door to actually start to do that and giving back. So. We're really looking forward to it, and obviously if there's a certain conservation group that you guys have in mind, we could talk about that as well, and we'll get those resources allocated to that.
Sounds good, man. That was one of the reasons why I decided to come with you guys.
Yeah, I mean,
not only do I actually pick up a phone and call you and get a person on the other end is the best thing in the world nowadays.
Yeah.
It is. It really is. But yeah, I saw that about you guys, that you did that, and we're planning on doing more. And none of the other companies really were doing that, man. None at all.
Well, we really do care about the industry. I mean, it's all of our passions, and we care about our clients. That's why you can call us, around the clock, day or night. We pride ourselves on being there for them and plan to be in the future. So,
and they're not kidding, literally day or night.
Right. It could be anytime, anytime. Give me a call. Yeah. But I guess kind of touching on that, if you want to go into talk a little bit about Go Guide and what we've possibly been able to do for you. Obviously, we capitalize more on the online side of things, give you an online booking service, give your clients the ability to book directly, see the trips that you offer, all your guide schedules. How's that kind of impacted your shop and guide service? Since we've started.
Okay, so for the time that I have had Go Guide, I'm gonna be blunt about it. There have been a couple times where I've had issues, but you guys literally fixed it lickety split. And since then, man, it's been running smoothly. All the guides are listed on there, and I like the fact that it's not just set up one way. You guys have it so I can pick the guide. You have it set up so the system goes off of a client's picking the guide. It's fantastic the way it's set up in that. All right. As far as the guided trips goes, you guys may not have seen some of the other ones, and some of the other ones I've used. It is very difficult to go in there and make changes and change stuff around and do all that. It's not user friendly for us, the actual user. I'd have to call company. I'd have to get somebody on the phone, and then it would take a month to get it done. And every week, every week or two, we'd have somebody new looking over our account. And now, it's been the same 3 or 4 guys I've talked to. You guys get everything done that I need to get fixed. And with the your website, and after you guys showed me how to use it, I can literally go in there and fix anything I need to in the system. And you guys made it very user-friendly, very simple. When you go on the client side of it, onto the website, it's very well done. You guys attached it right to my website, so I didn't have to do anything, because that stuff makes my head hurt. All right. And people go on there, they see all of our options. And the fact that you actually allow us to set up we could put as many clients in there as we want. If we wanted to set up where 12 people could book or 24 people could book, and you even set it up to where the number of people per guide, which that's a nice touch. That was a very big one, and especially for us, we allow 3 people per guide. So, and we do big groups all the time. It's like a lot of guys run 3 to 6 people, but I think our biggest trip last year was I think it was 22. I think our biggest trip last year was 22. Wow. So we do big groups all the time. Right. There's always businesses coming here to do events at the center in town, and they're a building exercise. This was what they call it. But yeah, your guys' website and booking service has been awesome. And then there's this, what we're doing right now, man.
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate that. Definitely. We like to say that we have our outfitters almost build the software for us, because we really do take exactly what they say and try to apply it. Because at the end of the day, you guys are the ones who's using it, and you want it built in the way that you makes your life easier.
Yeah, you guys definitely have done that.
And like you said, this is amazing. Obviously, you guys have a super beautiful shop here.
Thank you.
Beautiful town. Honestly, would have never guessed the craziness going on down there, but it made me want to.
If you look past all the tourist trap shops, there's some beautiful mountains back there. It is a wonderful place to live in the aspect of outdoorsy things to do, for sure. 100%.
Amazing. If you'd like to, I'd like to wrap it up with maybe a big fish story or a crazy client story, anything like that. Any particular moments in your guiding career that you put your client on a fish and they were just ecstatic about it, or anything like that?
Let's see here. I've got lots of big fish stories. Those aren't the fun ones, though.
Right.
The stories where you catch the fish, you land the fish. Those are fantastic. But I think the best stories are the ones where you and your client end up laughing about it all day.
Right.
All right. So this happened to me last year, actually. All right. And I was with a gentleman solo. It was just him. He brought 2 rods, and we kept switching out. I had them rigged two separate ways. And this might just be laziness on my aspect, which it may have been, but ease of use. I'd throw him a rod. I'd put the rod down. I wouldn't hook the flies up or anything. I just reel it up to the yarn indicator, and I just set it angled off to the side. All right. Well, one time I did that. I handed him my rod, cast it out there. We made a good long drift, and he ended up hooking a really nice rainbow. And I had his rod, which was a gift. Or it was a gift from family members, off hanging, at the yarn indicator down the side of the boat. And I'm back rowing, and we're fighting that fish, trying to get it away from the fish, getting away from logs, and end up we hear a loud bang and a drag clicking, and I was like, "What the heck was that?" Look back, his rod's gone. His rod is gone. All right. So what ended up happening was that got hit. His rod got a hit.
Oh.
The fish ended up dragging it up underneath a log on the Clinch River. And it was funny. There was another guide. There was another guide within eye view of this that could see the whole thing. And I ended up fighting the fish. We had a back row all the way in there. And I couldn't anchor where we were at because it was too deep.
Yeah.
So I ended up back rowing all the way past it. We ended up finding it, and I told him, I was like, let's rig that rod up, let's put it down. I ended up rowing past it. So before we were above it, started to take all my clothes off, my jacket, my shirt, all that stuff. Ended up jumping out of the drift boat down to the bottom, grabbing it, coming up, and having to swim back to my boat because obviously it wasn't anchored, and got it up, threw it up there, and that whole time we laughed the rest of the day about it. And he's like, "Man, this is the greatest fish story I've ever been a part of." And like it was if it was probably like a crosswater or something, I wouldn't have done that. But it was an entire Hardy outfit, so I was not about to let that sit at the bottom of the river.
And a gift from his family.
Yes. So I made sure I got that thing back, and that's just that's the first time that I've had a rod hit like that, just set off to the side.
There, so
just drifting down. Technically, yeah, double hookup with one angler.
Unexpected.
Yep. Right. And it ended up being just a blast. We ended up catching more fish that day. It was a good day, but he was like, I can't wait to tell everybody that. That's what it was.
And I'm sure he'll never forget it.
Nope. He will not.
That's an amazing story, Chad. Thanks again for having us here.
I appreciate it. Thank you.